It's grappling time. Welcome to another video. Today we are talking about Bo Nickal. The betting line had just been put out. There's upcoming bout on UFC 300 on April 13th, I believe, against Cody Brundage. I don't know who this guy is. There has been a lot of criticism as of late for Bo Nickals, who a majority of just everyone on social media were fans kind of saying that some of the funny tweets that I've read that they got him fighting tomato cans, that he won't fight at this rate. He won't fight real contenders by the time he's 35. I mean that betting line of 1400 is ridiculous. I mean, you could get very rich by betting that Cody Brundage is somehow steals a victory. I mean, you could be really rich if you got money to throw that you're not afraid. If you can toss a grand and by no means am I giving advice on betting. If you're the type of person who's got money to lose, go ahead and do it. I'm not a betting man. I've never gambled in my life, but wow, those odds are insane. The spread is insane. What is the deal with the UFC? Is this kind of like a thing now where they in the past they've never kind of built fighters up like that. Dana White's policy has always been like we don't protect fighters in this sport. Like, we feed you the lions. We want to see who's the best of the best. A perfect example of that is Sage Northcutt, who the UFC really didn't. And I've heard in interviews where Dana White kind of regrets not kind of giving Sage Northcutt time to build. He kind of like gave him hard opponents after criticism, and it kind of feels like maybe the UFC has kind of changed their policy on this kind of stuff when they have plans for young fighters. I know Bo Nickal started out on the Contender Series, but I mean he trains out of American Top Team, and he's got a wrestling pedigree. I mean, it's been well documented and talked about his NCAA wrestling pedigree at Division One, and he certainly had an amazing college record for wrestling. Uh, he's had a great run independently outside of out of the NCAA, and but in the UFC, I mean, he just hasn't faced anyone that's dangerous. Faced a gritty kind of veteran that, has some tricks up his sleeve that's gonna give Bo Nickal a few looks that he's never seen before. Maybe lay some traps for him. The UFC doesn't really want to expose him so much yet. They really want him to kind of build himself up, build that confidence, build that record up. Maybe they're trying to build him for the future for the UFC, which is smart. In a lot of ways, the UFC has never done that in the past, and that's always been one of the things kind of knock him. Like, hey, like, you have a young fighter. I mean, Bo Nickal was 27. Like, build him up a little bit. Like, let him train, let him kind of build a fighter like you would in boxing. Build a MMA fighter from the head down. Kind of like give him different looks, give him different styles thrown at him, uh, and see how he does. They haven't really imposed the strategy of sink or swim with him and throwing someone at him to see if he can, pull out a victory against a tough opponent. I'm really unsure what. I'm pretty sure these questions are gonna, or media outlets are gonna start to ask Dana White, "Hey, what's the deal with these opponents for Bo Nickals? Like, are you guys trying to protect them, trying to build them up?" And Dana White's probably gonna give that typical Dana White response, like, "Hey, we don't protect anyone in this sport. All of these guys are killers." But, like, let's be honest, the guy's not. He hasn't faced anybody that you could put in a marquee. I mean, he's faced nobody. Um, so all we have as of now is a college wrestler with an amazing pedigree, uh, collecting dubs, collecting wins in the UFC, and he hasn't been tested. And that's pretty much what it is. I mean, there's a lot of hype around somebody, but I mean, is the hype real? I mean, if you haven't faced anybody, is there really hype? Um, if you've been a fan of this sport for a long time, you've seen hype. You've seen hype all the time. Rarely does it live up to expectations. McGregor being Conor McGregor being one of the only few that like John Jones, like you put in that category, who young up and coming fighters who came out of nowhere with a lot of hype and they delivered. But has there really been a lot of those fighters? Very very few have turned out to be the real deal. I've seen so many young fighters come up and like, oh, he's a prodigy. Rory McDonald for the longest time was the prodigy, but he was sharing the same camp with GSP and just waiting his turn when he probably could have made another run. He probably could have made a run at it in a different weight class, but the fact that he was in the same weight class with his mentor, I mean, really like set his career back. And by the time he was older, his time had passed him by, you know. So I mean, is Bo Nickal a prodigy? I mean, you just don't know. It's all speculation at this point, and feels like they're protecting him so much. I mean, yeah, you might as well just put him in there with little children, you know, at this point, or um, I don't know who, but they definitely need to give him a more legit opponent for for the rest of his calendar in 2024. He's fighting in April, so he's probably gonna go into a camp pretty soon next year to prepare for that fight. But yeah, they got to put him against someone a little tougher, somebody with a little notoriety, you know, somebody with a name that people can point. Oh, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. He's been in some fights, you know, somebody who's got some street cred to them. But they're definitely protecting him. Uh, will they admit that? No, but I definitely think they are because he's fighting nobodies. I'd like to hear your opinion on this. Please write below in this comment section whether you disagree or agree with me that they're protecting Bo Nichols. I think they are. And we'll see you again next time.